Well, welcome guys. How y'all doing today? We're going to do something just a little bit different than what I normally do. I've got you here in our molding shop at my full-time job with a company called Mold In Graphics. I've worked with this company now for 21 years. I work in the R&D department now. I used to run the production facility. So what we're going to do today, I want to show you how our graphics work, what we make and what they're for and how they work. So we make graphics for rotationally molded plastics mainly. We're getting into blow molded plastics and injection molded plastics and different things, but this is a very basic, small, homemade rotational molding shop. This is our big oven right here, the rotational molding oven. I don't have it on right now because it's pretty noisy when it's on. This is what's called an arm, and this thing, the mold, which we have a mold right here, a two-piece hollow mold. These are our graphics, one of thousands that we make, and I'm going to show you how those apply. But these arms, they rotate in two directions. I'm going to plug it in right here, and so you can see it's going to turn this way, and at the same time it's turning this way, slowly, very slowly. And so what that does, while that's inside that oven, we fill that mold with plastic resin, which is basically powder, and it's circulating all around the inside of that hollow mold, and it's heating up and it melts to the inside of the mold and creates the part. This is just going to be a rectangular hollow board, like a sign, but you can make anything out of this. Kayaks, coolers, just about anything you can imagine made out of plastic. And when we get a little further along, I will take you out and show you some of the samples we have out in our hallway out here. We have a bunch of samples of parts that customers have sent us with graphics applied to them, and they're all nice finished parts, and so you'll get to see what they actually look like. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you how the graphics are applied. This graphic was cut out of a bigger sheet. This is a polyester sheet here that is just used as a carrier. We've got the graphic, which is the yellow part there. That's the ink part. And then you can see a kind of a satin finish with I don't know how well you can see it. There's a very slight pattern in there. And that is the adhesive that holds the graphic into the mold. So I'm going to just lay this down here. And I use this thing, which is called a burnishing pad. We make these as well. It's just a vinyl material with little glass beads in it to give it something to put pressure on the graphic. And I'm going to just put it pretty much in the middle of the mold. And then we're just going to rub the back of this sheet with it. You can kind of see that the color, you can see the color transition just a little bit as the graphic releases from the carrier sheet. And then you just go all the way around it, get all the edges real good, that little piece out there. Just get everything as well as you can. You don't have to be super perfect with it. Peel that off, and there you go. That graphic is applied. You can see the adhesive stays on the carrier film where there's no graphic. Wherever the graphic was, the adhesive is now underneath that. Okay, so we're going to do one more. Same thing, same process. Lay it down on there, and I push it down just a little bit, and that holds it in place. So if you were a molder in a shop and you were doing this in a great big mold, you can stick the graphic to the side of the mold, and it'll kind of help hold it there for you. All right, so we'll just burnish this down here good. You don't have to push super hard when you're doing this. I mean, you guys will. I'm just showing you this because I think it's kind of interesting how it works. You'd never actually have to do this out in the world. This is only done by actual people that are doing rotational molding and making parts for different people of different things that are going to get sold. So just so you see how it works. Peel that off. Same thing. Graphic came off, the adhesive stayed behind. And there we are, we're done with that. So now I'm going to take you up onto the platform and we'll get this thing ready to mold. So the platform is just up here, a little workstation we have. We've got various different kinds of molding resins up here. Some black, some natural, which is, it looks like it's white, but it's actually kind of translucent, so light goes through it. We got some crosslink and some blue and some different things. We're just going to do this with black. This is called LLDPE, linear low density polyethylene. It's a very basic type of plastic that many things that you use on a daily basis are made of. I've already pre-weighed out a pound of this stuff, so we just pour it in there. You can see it's just a powdered resin. Kind of spread it around just so that that the two sides of the mold can close up. Normally on these cavity molds, these hollow molds, they're much larger and they're going to have a lot more space in them. So you don't have to do this on the big ones. Like if you're making a kayak, you might be pouring in 25 pounds of resin, but the mold is pretty big inside, pretty roomy, because it's got to be big enough to make something big enough that a person could sit in. So now these two surfaces, they just fit together. It's very basic on ours. A kayak mold or a cooler mold or something with a lot more details is going to have seams and little pins, alignment pins to help it stay together. But for us, all we got to do is put them together like that. We're going to go over here. Let's see here. I got to put this down for 1 second. Open these clamps up. This is just a angle iron frame with some clamps on it. This mold is going to go in here. Keep it together so I don't spill all my resin while I'm getting it put in. Clamp them on there. Just like that. And now it's ready to go in the oven. And we can put 4 of these on this side. We have a couple of larger ones on the other side. We've got bigger molds over here. This one's for making a large sign. We've got, let's see, that little guy there is for making a little handheld stop sign. This one over here, this is for making a gas tank for a Husqvarna motorcycle. This is what that looks like when they're done. There's a raw gas tank. This is natural plastic, so it's kind of light goes through it. And then we use that one a lot just for making samples and things like that. So anyway, once I get the oven heated up and this is all ready to go in there, I'll get back with you. Okay guys, sorry it's a little bit louder in here now. I've got the big oven going. It's all heated up. We're at 550 degrees and we're gonna put this guy in there for 19 minutes. So we just roll this out, do our little dance, get it lined up here in front of the oven. Like so. Open the doors. And then in she goes. Set the brake. Close the doors and plug her in. It's going to start rotating in there, and it's going to rotate around in there for 19 minutes. Once it comes out of the oven, it's going to go in over here. This is a cooling chamber. It's got a big fan up there on the side. That arm goes inside there and continues to rotate just like it is inside the oven. And that big fan comes on periodically and blows air on it and it cools it off. Takes about the same amount of time that it takes to cook it. It's about what it takes to cool it off, so 20 to 30 minutes or so. So anyway, I'll be back with you when we're ready to pull it out. Guys, the oven is just about to pop here in just a few seconds. Check the timer. Yeah, we're right down to the end. It's gonna buzz and the door will start to open. I'll close it real quick to turn off the buzzer right there. Then I hit the open switch. Ooh, she's hot. You can't feel it, but there's a lot of heat comes out of that oven. All right, unplug that. Pull her back out. Close those doors, keep that heat in. Okay, as soon as this goes all the way in, it's gonna trigger a switch back there and the fan's gonna come on. It's gonna be really loud right there. Okay, and there we go. So that's got to sit in there for 25 minutes or so to cool off. I'm going to shut down the oven, turn off the gas and the blower, or leave the blower on, but I'm going to turn off the gas and the ignition switch. Turn off the main gas line. The blower will stay on and it'll slowly cool off. And then when this thing's ready to come out of the cooler, I'll get back with you and we'll open the mold up. Okay guys, we're gonna pull this thing, pull it out a little bit, and I get the fan to shut off. Now I'm gonna rotate. This is the board I want right here, and that's cooled off enough. So I'm gonna let it rotate around to the front part of the arm before I shut it off here in just a second. About right there. It always coasts just a little bit. That'll work. Okay, here we go. We do our little dance again. Put this thing up on the platform where we can get it off. I mean, I could take the mold off right there, but it's easier when you have it up on here when you're doing multiple molds and bigger molds and heavier stuff. And then I leave it parked out a little bit. It goes in farther than that, but I leave it parked out a little bit. So I'm gonna turn off this other camera real quick. Okay, so we're gonna pop this out of the mold, take the mold out of the bracket. It's very complicated taking this mold apart. Screwdriver in the gap, pop it open if you don't pinch your fingers, like so, and there is one of the graphics. Now I need this little guy here, this little plastic tool. Break this loose. Plastic shrinks like mad when it's cooking in here. So once you cut it loose, it shrinks up and it just pops right out. So that's what the graphic looks like. Now there's a lot of scratches and whatnot. That's in the mold. There's scratches and stuff inside the mold. These get beat up and used an awful lot. So the graphic itself is completely fused into this plastic part now. That's the claim to fame of our company. It's called Mold In Graphics, and the graphics fuse with the plastic. They become one with the plastic, and they cannot come off. So it's not like a sticker. You can't peel it off. There's no edge to get a hold of to scrape it off. If you want to remove that graphic, you've got to use a grinder or something, and you're going to actually be removing the plastic. So this is out here on the edge. This is called flash. When it molds and it gets hot and it expands, it pushes out between the two halves of the mold. So we've got one on each side. You can see a little bit. I'll turn it and see. I'm not sure how well the camera will pick it up, but there's a pattern on there. Little hexagons. It looks like a little beehive or a wasp nest kind of a pattern. And that just helps air get out from underneath the graphic when it's being transferred onto the mold, and also while it's molding. So, but anyway, this graphic type is called the MIG-5. It's one of our newest generations. It's been around for a few years now, but it's our newest version of this type of graphic. It's very, very good. It's very, very durable. You cannot take that off. You can wash that with lacquer thinner, diesel fuel, gasoline, whatever. It's not going to come off. It is on there forever. It will outlast this piece of plastic. So here in just a second, I'll take you out front into our hallway where we have some parts, and I'll show you the kinds of things that these graphics get used on. hopefully it is light enough in here to see some of these parts. But we got a cooler lid. This is a spine board, like for an ambulance or paramedics, made for little kids, small kid size. This is side of a Coca-Cola display, obviously. There's a big backboard right there, spine board. A few other parts. That thing's for sliding in the snow. Get out here in the little bit lighter. This is called a McDonald's spinner. And all those little faces and body parts and everything, those are done with our graphics. All this stuff is our graphics. And there's going to be people walking around in here, so just ignore them. This boat right here was made for us, specifically for a show. And it's got graphics all over it. All different kinds of graphics. These graphics are all different models of boats that this company makes. And they normally would not all be on one boat. They would normally, each one is one different model, but they made us a special one with all these graphics on there so we could show it at one of the trade shows. This is another one here. This is the specific model, and those graphics on there where it says Wilderness Systems, the Pungo 120, those are our graphics. And those are on there permanent forever. They can't come off. They won't scrape off. There's no edge or anything. So super durable. We've got a little trash can over here. This thing is called a bollard, and those get used in Europe a lot. It's a road marker, and it usually will have a light on the inside. So these graphics are made with a special kind of a translucent ink, and when you put a light behind them, they really shine. They kind of glow. You got the good old Yeti cooler, and underneath it another cooler, and that was another show cooler with a lot of different graphics on the top of it and on the side of it. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff that our graphics go on, and you'll see them all over and probably not even realize that they're ours. They're not stickers. They won't come off. It's called polymer fusion technology. And that's the kind of stuff we make. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, you know what? One more here. Let me show you this. This is a cool one. This one was done with an airbrush inside of the mold. The whole inside of the mold, that image was painted on there. And then the boat was made. And so all that special detail then fused into the surface of that boat, and it's on there permanent. That's a one-off. That's just a showpiece for us. It's totally functional, but very unique design on there. There's no other one in the world like it. Okay, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it interesting of what we do here at Mold In Graphics. And I will catch you later.